assistant.
People just stole so much stuff from me, even the boxes that I used to put stuff on. Thank you.
Still the box.
All right, y'all enjoy it.
My little cat box.
Okay. All right, thanks, Chris.
Not too hard.
I have to be working from Main Street and some stuff. And then, okay, say, yeah. Okay.
Okay. See you soon.
September of this year, Arkansas farmers say economic conditions have changed drastically since the last farm bill came law and the Congress to act. Agriculture is the largest industry in Arkansas, and the state is the #1 rice producer in the nation. Tariffs, weather conditions, and the war in the Middle East have all contributed to making farming less profitable. Bisman says this legislation will strengthen local economies.
Improves quality of life and delivers critical infrastructure and services from safe and reliable drinking water to expanded broadband access, medical care, and affordable child care, helping families thrive and supporting growth in our rural community.
The Senate bill does not include provisions for funding the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Democrats say they won't vote on a bill that doesn't include SNAP funding. Anna Frida Ross, Arkansas News Service. Find our trust indicators at publicnewsservice.org.
We see the urgent threat of climate change every day, but we often miss those hit hardest by it, women and girls. That's why CARE fights for a more just and sustainable world. You can help. Learn more at care.org/climate.
This is Wade Rathke, Station Manager, KABF. I want you to meet Alice. Who is she? You and me. Alice stands for Asset Limited Income Constrained Employer. Alice is working.
Good opportunity. We want you to do another hour.
You know that you're playing me. You do, y'all are playing me.
Oh, but that's one of the old ones.
Mhm.
I want you to do it next.
Okay, okay.
It's time to meet Alice. Who is Alice? All of us.
3,031 names, 3,031 personal stories, 3,031 Hispanics who made the ultimate sacrifice during the Vietnam War. But to younger generations, they're just names carved into the black granite of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. We don't know enough about these heroes. They deserve better, as do those who sacrificed their lives in Afghanistan and Iraq. The Education Center at the Wall will be a place on the National Mall where our military stories, pictures, and sacrifice will never be forgotten. It will honor the service of all American veterans and bring their sacrifice to life. Help us collect the photos of these 3,031 heroes and all those who gave their lives so their faces are never forgotten. Visit vvmf.org to share your photos. That's vvmf.org.
A message from the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund.
My bad.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, you heard the music. It's a little after 9 o'clock. It's Thursday, so you know what time it is. It's time for the workplace here exclusively on KABF 88.3 FM, where we are the voice of the people community radio. I'm your host for the workplace, Toney Orr, and in studio is the strong, fierce, bold, standing 10 toes down, the Reverend Dr. Denise Darnell.
Grand Rising humans.
I hope everybody's having a great Thursday so far. I hope you've been having a great week. I just want to first of all, just thank all of you who listen, all of you, just not to the workplace, but to Community Voices, Let's Talk About It, Arkansas Talks, all these different shows that are produced and played here on KBF 88.3 FM. The Nevermind Morning Show, gospel, jazz, blues, all these different genres of music, all these different shows that you tune in for every week. And just wanted to thank you. We appreciate your ear. We appreciate your yeah, it's right. The word is your participation. Your participation. You ever get a word? You know what you want to say. You just can't bring it up. But your participation, whether you pledge, whether you donate, whether you show up different spaces, whether you call in, whatever you do, we appreciate it. We cannot be where we are as a community radio station without you, the audience, because you are the voice and you are the people. So just want to thank you. Just thank you for all you do and all you strive to do to help make KBF 88.3 FM what it is. Do you have any announcements?
I do have a couple announcements. First, we got Hotep already on the line, wishing us life, prosperity, and health. Want to let you know that Pyramid Art Books and Custom Framing is celebrating 38 years of literacy and fine art with a book signing and discussion happening this Sunday, July 12th at 3 p.m. at 1001 Wright Avenue in Little Rock, 72206. It is Dr. Christopher Jones in his book, Quantum Pearls 2. That's what the discussion will be about. And then the signing. And of course, other things are going to come up if you've got Dr. Chris Jones in the room. Yeah. So that is happening on Sunday, July 12th at 3 o'clock p.m. And then also next Tuesday at 3 o'clock p.m. at Pyramid Art Books and Custom Framing, still celebrating 38 years of literacy and fine art. Garbo, the director of the bookstore and the gallery, Garbo Hearn, is working with some young Black male instrumentalists who will be having a recital on that Tuesday at 3 o'clock. So next Tuesday. So if Sunday is the 12th, Monday 2, so the 14th, July 14th, in that same location, you'll have these young Black kings in recital in that space. That's going to be great. So inviting you to both of those events.
Yeah. We talked about this. You mentioned this on Tuesday, Denise, about a month of mayors. I need to get Dr. Chris Jones, on the show, one of our shows, just to talk about what's going on and what his platform and what his vision is.
Well, I'm just gonna go ahead and call it out. It's his scheduler. That's my problem. I'm trying.
Yeah,
it's his scheduler. That's my problem.
Yeah. So, I think that'd be great. And if you can show up on Sunday for that, I think it's very interesting. When I was a kid, we used to joke, when I was a child, like when we used to joke with all the other children in the neighborhood. If you want to make fun of somebody, the first thing you said, "Oh, what do you think? Who do you think you are? A rocket scientist?" Well, you know what? Dr. Jones is a rocket scientist.
Exactly who he is. And I ain't gonna lie, he's the first Black man I can put my finger on and say I know a rocket scientist.
Yes. I think
the only one.
Yeah, I think Neil deGrasse.
Yeah, but I can't put my finger.
Yeah, can't put his finger. Yeah, we know he's a nuclear well, we know he's an astrophysicist, yeah, but to actually sit down side by side and know somebody on a first name basis that's actually a rocket scientist, that's black, that's just it's amazing. And so that leads us into our discussion. I watched this movie last night. Well, no, it wasn't a movie. It's this television show called Cold Case. It doesn't come on as a regular weekly show anymore, but I think it was on the air for about 5 or 6 years, and now it's syndicated. And so it was late at night. I think basically I went to bed too early last night. I went to bed about 6, 7 o'clock, and so I woke up like at 3 o'clock in the morning, wide awake, and I was flipping through the channels, and I saw saw this calling there. Call. Hello. Hello.
Are you there?
Spam call early. But anyway, as I was watching it, the storyline was about the Negro Leagues. It was about this baseball player who was a Negro League baseball player, was a star who got killed. And for those of you who may see the shows, what happens to this person, you know, in the past, how they died or something happened. And then in the present, then it comes to the present where something happens, and now they are investigating how, this case that wasn't solved years ago. So the ball player was killed in 45. So now here it is, 2015, and now they're trying to solve the case. And it was interesting in my mind because it was about breaking the color barrier, about breaking into the major league, the color lines. And they had some of the great baseball players being depicted in this story. Satchel Paige, Josh Gibson, Jackie Robinson, then Cool Papa Bell. And so how it played out was that when the player got killed, it was about, they thought it was about racism, which it really ended up being, and the scene that caught my attention the most was that there was this white guy who was friends with him, who basically was there all the way through, helping him do different things, helping him move up. But when the player that had, I don't care. I don't in love. And all was, I just with one he said, I don't care what you want, is what I want. He turned his back and started to walk away. He said, trying to ride my coattail for your success, for you to get something out of it. I'm trying to find my peace in life. I'm trying to find a place where I can enjoy my life, where I can live free, where I can live, in in a way that is conducive to part of me living is this, it's the relationship I have with this person, how I can build whatever I can build. I don't have to be a professional baseball player to have something in life. And I think we talk about this all the time, is that sometimes it's so hard to pull away from this idea that I can't go nowhere unless it's okay or signed off by white society. It's the only way I can get somewhere. It's the only way I can have something. And if I turn my back on that, now comes the anger. How dare you? How dare you turn your back on me? How dare you not take advantage? And in reality, that what the white guy was saying, I'm going to use you to make it to the top because I can't. I don't have the talent. I don't have the creativity. I don't have this, but you do. So I'm going to ride you to the top. And when you think about some of the things that are happening now, when you think about how affirmative action is being taken away, you look at voting rights are being taken away. You listen to what James Brown was saying on Tuesday. Just open it. If I get in the door, if I get in, I can do it myself. But now, what's happening now in this country is now they don't even want to open the door anymore. Affirmative action and some other policies gave Black people, minorities, women the opportunity to step in the door. Now they're basically trying to say, you know what? We don't even want to open the door anymore. But you have to be resilient enough to say, I don't care if you do close the door. I'm going to kick the door in. I don't need your permission to kick the door in. You can't kick me out. And I think in watching that this morning, early this morning, it just made me think. It made me see the correlations and what is that? Art imitates life or life imitates art?
It goes both ways.
Yeah. So in looking at that, I actually could see, well, even though it's supposed to be this show, this imaginary made up show, but there's so much truth in that show and what I saw. What do you think, Denise?
Well, let me just get this message in from Lo, who says, and going back into the context when you were telling about what happened with the Black man and the white man, this African proverb he reminds us of: the lion and the hyena will never be friends. There's an African proverb that says the lion and the hyena will never be friends. Let me just, and then before I respond to you, let me just go back to what I was saying about Dr. Chris Jones, because I want to be crystal clear. Sometimes I'm not as clear as I think I am, and it comes back later. But when I'm talking about the brilliance of Chris Jones and being able to put my hand on him, it's not because I'm amazed that there is a Black man who is a rocket scientist. I'm not amazed about that at all. We are brilliant. Black folks are brilliant. We can be anything. We are everything. We are divine. Like, there's nothing that we cannot do. There's no space that we cannot occupy. There's no title that we cannot hold. So I'm not surprised that a Black man is a rocket scientist. It's just that he's a member of my network. And so that means that I can reach out to him, and together we can do work. We can move, we can build together, because many hands make light work. And so I want to make sure we're clear on that I'm not surprised that a Black man is a rocket scientist, because why wouldn't a Black man be a rocket scientist? I'm just glad to be a member of his circle. And so I think that I was just talking about this with Vernon and Matthew. We were just talking about this on Sunday about, we're going to bust the door in. We're going to bring our own chair. And what I was saying is, how can you bust the door in, and how can you pull up your own chair to the seat, to the table, if you don't know where the room is? And so I feel like there's the way when we're dealing with the system of white inhumanity, the planning has been in the process. They've been planning this stuff for ages and ages. I remember when Takia was on the other day, and she said, whatever we see, the military have been working on it for 20 years before we see it. And so this idea that we're going to just, I don't need you, I don't think that works. I know it doesn't work for me. What I'm saying is, we don't need their room. We don't need their table. We don't need a chair to pull up to their table. We have our own table. We can work out our own if I could quote the Bible, work out our own soul salvation, work out our own collective liberation. We can work it out ourselves instead of trying to find the room and knock down the door and bring a chair. Just create your own.
Yeah, and, and that's true. And I think one of the issues is, I was talking to after Patrick Oliver on his show yesterday. He had his guest. We were talking. I can't. His name escapes me right now, but we were talking before he went on the air, and we were talking about Israel. We were talking about Palestine, Gaza, and we'll talk all the different intricate things.
Keep going.
All the intricate things that was going on and how all this is playing out. And the one thing we came up with, or the one thing we could both agree on, was the idea of humankind. And so when you look going back to this TV show I start out with, the way it's supposed to work in human beings, the way it's supposed to work is we work together. The whole society, or together for the betterment of us. And we talked about this on Tuesday. Denise said that when about the Acts church and the Acts, in the beginning, and in the Bible is that when the church was established, they sold all that they had, and as community, they gave to who needed it the most. We helped those who needed it the most. So going back to this story and going back to so much of this country, if this country really embodied what it talked about with these words that they put on some paper, then it wouldn't have been an issue of slavery. It would have been an issue of let's go to other places and find people with the skills that can be used here. But instead of enslaving them and making them, you give them the opportunity, the choice. That, hey, would you like to come and help us be? Would you like to come and be a part of this society? Would you like, to come and be treated in a human way? That's the way it's supposed to work. Going back to the story, if the white guy would have looked at the black baseball and said, hey, if you don't want to play baseball and all you want to do is be with this woman and live your life, hey, tell me what I can do to support you. How can I help you? What can I do to help you fulfill this? Instead of rising up in anger and in violence to say, how dare you take my opportunity? You're destroying my opportunity. Instead, and I think when you start talking about humankind, that's where it gets messed up. I like what you said, Denise. We're talking about we're centering Black people in the human existence, in the human, the totality of humankind, is centering Black people. Well, you can center anybody in the totality of humankind, because in reality, when you look at it, we're not supposed to sit around and try to oppress or try to get over or try to use. If we work together, everyone achieves more. Now, I know I'm talking naive, pipe dream. I know, but it amazes me that I will hear someone, especially, I will hear them talk about, we need to work together, we need to work together, we need to work together. But then they turn around and do things like, this does not make sense.
So here's what Lo says. Lo says, Racism is the DNA of America. This country was built on a system that did not and would not embrace Black folks. Racism is the DNA of America. This country was built on a system that did not and would not embrace Black folks. I feel like we're still talking about the Chris Jones story right now. We're talking about this Black man who is a rocket scientist, and then you're talking about the Black man who was a baseball player who decided that what he wanted to do was pursue love. And so white people are so used to us entertaining them. Like that, when you say the white man wanted his opportunity to get to the top, the white man only wants the opportunity to exploit Black bodies. That's the only opportunity that the white man is looking for. He's in the system, not just the white man, the system of whiteness, and it's not just white people who buy into the system of whiteness. So let's be clear about that. I am crystal clear about that. And the system of white and humanity, and so for this Black man, how dare you say you're not going to entertain me? How dare you take away an opportunity for me to make money off of you? How dare you deprive me of being able to control you? Because that is the number one key. I was thinking this morning, I was thinking about where am I going to set your home? And I said, well, if I take my medical marijuana card, can I get some marijuana in Mississippi? And then I was like, well, if I take my gun with me and I have a concealed carry license, does that cover me in Mississippi? And so I'm trying to figure this out, because I don't give the law enforcement no reason to pull me over, nothing. The only reason I get pulled over right now is because of my bald head. They think I'm a bald man. I'm a Black man. That's the only reason. Otherwise, they ain't got no reason to pull me over. Well, that ain't no reason, but I'm just saying that's the only thing that I can't control. I'm not trying to control. And so I was trying to figure out we call this the United States of America. What unites us as America? And not the law, because depending on what city or state you're in, the laws are different. And that's by design, because it was created that way so that especially the South could keep their enslaved people. And so no, we got states' rights. And so every state has the right to do things the way that they want to do. So I probably can't do the same thing with my gun and my medical marijuana card in Mississippi that I can do here. So what is it that unites us? Nothing but racism, capitalism, sexism, homophobia. That's what unites us. And we ought to be ashamed of that. We ought to be like, you know what? I don't want to go, because anytime I go out of the country, I try my best not to open my mouth, because as soon as I open my mouth, they gonna know I'm an American, and I'm ashamed, especially now. I don't even want to have those conversations. And so we've got to be honest about that, real about that. Like Los, it's in our DNA. And so yes, Tony, now you're talking about a pipe dream. How can we make it a reality? The only way it can become a reality is if you overturn what. That's the only way it's gonna be a reality. Stop trying to find the room. Stop trying to kick the door down. Stop trying to bring up a chair and create our own.
Yeah, and I think to that end, it would be nice not to even have the room. Forget the room.
You gotta have structure.
There shouldn't be a room. It should be a space you can come to that. When you look at other civilizations, when you look at how Native Americans, you look at how the tribes of Africa, you look at the early Chinese civilization. They were more it was community. It was community. And whatever the community would come together for, any type of decisions that affected the community. If someone was acting a fool in the community came together to figure out what are we going to do. Everybody had opportunity. It's only when you start to interject a structure where it says, okay, this person is of higher standard than you.
But that's what the room is. For me, the room is a metaphor of where the rules and policies are being made. The room that they're making all the stuff that's going on now, we don't need to be looking for that room. That stuff just does not work for us. So when I say we need to create our own, I'm talking about our own policies, our own structures, our own ways of living and being and communing together that is just, that is equitable, that is more peaceful, that abolishes the prison system, like those kinds of things. That's what I mean when I say the room. Where are we going to hash out what it really means to show up as humans for and with other humans?
Yes, I agree. I agree with that. That's what I truly believe needs to happen. I think one of the issues that we find is how do you, what's the value? What's the value of humankind? I think so many people have a different value, you know, because uh, because you're a woman, that means you're valued less than a man. Because you LGBTQ or you're Hispanic or you're Asian, then you're valued less than this person who is white Anglo-Saxon or however you want to put it. And I think that's where sometimes, I think that's where the issue lies. In how do we value and what we value when it comes to humans. And instead of putting a value on people, I believe that it should be how, what do we contribute to each other? And even with that, it can get it can get messed up because all you gotta do is look at how the political arena is. If I contribute $1 to your campaign, and Denise, you contribute $1 million to the campaign, of course, the person who contributed $1 million, you contribute $1 million, you're gonna get an audience or get an opportunity to say what you want this person to do. Where the person who gave $1, who made that dollar to them is worth more than $1 million because that's all I got. But I need you to help change some things in this community. So I'm giving you all I got. But you don't value me, even though at this moment I am in need more than the person who gave the $1 million.
Here's Low on the line saying, until others understand the struggles in Europe and how their mentality was affected, the Black Plague, the depletion of resources, fighting each other for resources, those isms will continue to exist. Until others understand the struggles in Europe and how their mentality was affected, like with the Black Plague, the depletion of resources, fighting each other for resources, those isms will continue to exist. I'm not sure why we focusing in I'm not sure why we focusing in Europe. Because I'm reading your comment, but I'm also disagreeing with it. So I'm just saying. But go ahead.
I'm sorry for this. Go ahead.
You were talking about value.
And then I heard the comment of Law. I think what Law maybe, and this is what I'm hearing when he talks about Europe, when you go back to the different revolutions, the different mindset, how Europe developed, going back to the Black Plague, going back to the French Revolution, and understanding that there was a series of things that caused all these revolutions in Europe because the people at the bottom, the have-nots, every day they were being exploited, and all they could see were the royals, the rich, the elite, class. All they could see was them living life to the fullest, where they were basically dying every day.
Yeah, and I think that's part of, and so that's what happens. So we see other people making more money, we see other people having more things, and we begin to seek that. We begin to pursue that. We begin to tell ourselves, "Oh, that's the way to live. That's how life should be. That's the American dream," and we want to go after that. But when you talked about value and the person that gave $1 million versus the person that gave $1, it doesn't have to make a difference. And I know because I'm a living witness. And so when I was a pastor in the pulpit in Gulfport, every single month they would give me the printout of who tithed, how much they tithed, and all of that. And I said to them, well, they gave it to me. I never opened it because I didn't, to be honest with you, I didn't trust myself because I was in that culture where whoever's tithing the most, that's who's going to have the ear of the pastor, whoever's tithing the most. So I did not want to be that kind of pastor. So I refused to look at the tithing sheet. If it had name, I never looked at it for the 5 years I was there because I did not want that to taint how I treated the people. So I didn't know who gave what. So I'm treating everybody the same way. So just because you know somebody has $1 million doesn't mean you have to treat them the same, treat them differently. That's your choice to do that. You can treat them in a way that lets them know that your $1 million don't mean no more to me than this person's dollar. Your dollar don't mean any more to me than this person's 2 cents. I'm going to treat everybody the same. Those are choices that we can make, but we can't make those choices when we keep yearning for what somebody else has because we think that's the way to be. When in actuality, those people who are all of that and living the dream, most of them, the only way they can do it is to exploit other folks. So do you want to be like that? You got to ask yourself some real questions about who you want to be and how you want to show up, and you got to govern yourself accordingly. And Lo said you're right.
Yeah, and who's right?
Lo said you're right.
And here's the thing. And this is one of the hardest things for people of all races, ethnic groups, to do is to understand who they are. If you have no clear understanding of who you are, then you will always be in a
What? Why is it ringing like that now?
call you on there.
Good morning, you all.
Morning.
Morning.
I'm not no rocket traffic, not like that. I don't think people understand. Number one, if the Lord wrote in your heart, universal law, the way we should conduct ourselves with one another, and harmony and peace, and your group come along that maybe they don't have that. I don't know whether they have it or not. They demonstrate they don't have it. Now, the law is the rulers and things. We see what's going on. They had to make them a rule, say, okay, we can deal by the universal law. So we got to make us unsafe. So we start doing animal sacrifice. So we start doing human sacrifice. And so forth and so on. And now this is what we have right here, right now. This ain't no belief. This is reality that I can see. We understand thoughts, how we think as a people. Thoughts are not dead. They become alive just like you. If you are thinking negative thoughts, it becomes alive and it tries to defend itself right within you. It's mother. So if you can't control your thinking in the right direction, then that means you're going in the other direction. And it's going to reproduce. We are reproducing that. Most people are thinking about becoming sovereign, independent people living by themselves. We living by everything else we see around us with our eyes, who got this and all these things. And this barbarian thinking people make sure that you have it and make sure you're on the bottom because you're supporting them on the top. You giving them yourself. You sacrificing your blood and your energy. Blood represents life. Simple as that. Thank you.
Well, I disagree a little bit. I don't think that not a little bit. I disagree with that. I don't think that your thoughts have to become alive. I think that if you're saying that thoughts are alive, they're living, that thoughts are alive. If that's what you're saying, then yes, I agree with that. However, I don't think that just because your thoughts are alive and you have them, that you have to act on them. Now, I know. Your girl Lola think I hate the Bible. She think I hate the Bible, but I do not. I actually appreciate it. I think it's
I'm not going to get it now.
I hate how loud that is, so I feel like I can't talk over it.
Call your.
I don't hate the Bible, but the Bible has some good things in it. The Bible has real good things in it. But if you are living from the heart of righteousness of your own self, you really don't need the book. You don't need the law. Once I understand, I'm going to love myself, number one, and I'm going to love and respect people. It's nothing else I can do better than that. I don't care what book I'm getting that out. And if you think those cannot alive once you think it, your thought don't just stay in your head. Your thought is energy. Your thought is a word. It become a word. It become action. Everything is alive. Yeah, these rocks. Everything is life. There is no death. So your thought is very important. You think, you think in the way you want to. You think you are not alive. Anyway.
So let me finish what I was saying. And so you can have a thought. Yes, thoughts are alive, but I do not dislike the Bible. I just look at it differently, and I see that there are principles in there that I can pull out that I can apply to my life, and that's absolutely what I do. And so there is a principle in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 5 that says that you can take your thoughts captive. And so just because you have a thought doesn't mean that it has to turn into action. Because when you realize that what you are thinking is lifeless, is fruitless, is harmful, is traumatic, is not going to end well, then you can hold it captive and say, I'm not going to move on this. And you can get rid of it. It's as simple as that. You have control. The problem is we do not understand how much power and control we have because we have given it away to everybody else, to the white system of whiteness, the system of white humanity. We've given it to Jesus. We've given it to our spouses. We've given it to our children. You can do something about your thoughts. Lord, that's killing me.
Call you there.
Well, thank you. Good morning, Sister Denise, Brother Tony, to the listeners and the callers, those on the web. Three people have mentioned governing. Well, in the good book, it says the government's a different issue. And that's in the kingdom of the Lord. But in the society in which we live, the governed, which is us, have a government, which is, I always want to say them. And what we need to do to be governed in these utopian ways that everybody's talking about, the good ways to govern and what the results are for being governed correctly, you have to vote to get the right people in there to govern you. That's why the vote is so important. There are rules and regulations and strategies that are used to get good government, and always have been. And not that they're always successful, but there are attempts to have good governments in quite a few societies. And since three people have mentioned being governed already in their conversations, although they were talking in different contexts, but each one of them mentioned being governed by certain types of rules, certain types of feelings, thoughts, and emotions, or whatever motivates one to govern themselves accordingly, whatever. But governments are, for the most part, voted in and are selected by those who are being governed, or those who have been appointed to be the administrators of government. That's why the vote is so important. If we want to be governed in a utopian way, then we have to get the people in there that, we want to represent our interests. Do y'all not agree with that? At least that's the way I'm looking at it, since everybody's talking about being governed the correct way. Thank you, and I appreciate this conversation, and hopefully somebody else will chime in, maybe Miss Chris Jones, maybe someone that running for office, maybe someone that has a desire to run for office. I don't know, but that's what government is, and we are being governed by folks who don't really care anything about the results of bad government. We see that from what's going on right today all throughout the world.
You know, in this during the totality of this conversation, the whole of this conversation, one thing that came to my mind is Muhammad Ali. You know, the one thing that really alienated him from a lot of society, not only white but black, is that he knew who he was and he spoke out of who he was. If he said, "Hey, I'm the greatest," he went out to show, I'm not lying about who I am. If I say I'm gonna win this fight, I'm gonna win this fight. And so going back to James Brown saying, open, just let me in the door. I can do it myself. Going back to him saying I'm black and I'm proud. Going back to all the people who tried to encourage people to stand up for themselves and be valuable to themselves. It makes me think about playing basketball or playing sport. On that playing field, I hear people who will say, "Oh, Michael Jordan is cocky. Michael Jordan is arrogant. Michael Jordan is all, he think he's that." But on that basketball court, Michael Jordan was out there saying, "I'm going to show you I'm better than you." But then you leave that basketball arena or that football arena or that baseball arena and you get back into the society, and now you may not do things or you may not speak up in that same way that you did in that arena. With Muhammad Ali, it didn't matter. He spoke up whether he was in a boxing ring, whether he was on the street corner, when they were interviewing him. I remember he said, "Why should I have to go to another country and kill some Vietnamese? They ain't did nothing to me. Why I got to go kill them when you won't even let me?" Said, "You're trying to kill me here, but you're trying to make me go kill somebody else."
First, let me say this: that Lowe said it was back a few minutes. 9:36 is when he said this. Take the Bible in context. Love my enemy? Nope. He said, "Take
that sounds like a
love my enemy." Nope. But I think that this is what I'm talking about principles. And this is why I get so frustrated with Black folks in particular who are Christians, because the white people that I'm in relationship with who are Christians do not act the same way as Black folks that I'm in relationship who are Christian in the way that they live out their theology. So Muhammad Ali is a Muslim, but he's living out a principle that I can find in the Bible that Christians use. So it's not about whether or not you're a Christian. It's about the principle and understanding it. There's a principle that says you speak those things that are not as though they were. So you might not know that I'm the best artist that you're ever going to meet, but I know it, and I'm going to speak it, and I'm going to walk in it, and I'm going to live, because that's what the principle allows me to do. It allows me to be bold. It allows me to be fierce. It allows me to be unapologetic. It allows me to stand 10 toes down because I got the power in my mouth. It says life and death is in the power of your tongue. I'm going to speak life over my own body. And so it just boggles my mind how Christians have access, Black folk, to these principles, but you around here talking about, well, I'm just a sinner. I'm just saved by grace. I just need the law because I can't do it without Jesus. Won't he do it? Help me. We got to work on it.
And that's what I mean when I said that most people don't know who they are. With what Denise just said, that should have resonated with 99.9% of the people listening, because that's where we are. That's where we are. If we are bold, if we believe in what the Bible says, if we believe in our divinity, then yes, we're supposed to, and we're supposed to speak like we walking in power. We're not just like Muhammad Ali. We're supposed to say, yes, I am somebody. Yes, I can do this. Yes, I can change things. Yes, I am valuable. And not back down from it. Call you there. Caller.
Yes, Christian to me. Now, it's not only Christian, all of it. You believe, you got faith. Now, your actions don't line up with the one that you say you follow. Christians have killed more people on this planet than any other religion. Any other people ain't killed, nobody killed more than Christians. So your blood sacrificial ideas, you the power, you the law of the first. The universal law don't require blood. Shit. You need to really know what you can set up drink some Western grape juice and eat some crackers and talk about you are eating human flesh and you're drinking human blood. What the hell do you think you're to become? You're accountable. You're the blood person that has to have blood. You can't live by the divine in you, already in you. Somebody else that told you got to have blood shit. That's mixed up. That's really mixed up to me.
And so I'm going to say this. I'm not going to just say Christians have killed more people. Religion, period. Whichever way you want to call it. If you want to use Christian, if you want to use Catholicism, if you want to use Islam, all of them, religion, period, has been the basis of politics, war, oppression, and slavery. It's religion.
Well, I actually don't. Honestly, I don't care if your religion tells you or your belief system tells you that you need to drink some blood and eat some body. Like if that's what that's what you want to practice, that's fine. My problem is, especially as it relates to Christianity, is that you're going to tell me that the faith of my ancestors, the faith of my neighbors, my siblings, when we start talking about Santeria and voodoo and all of those things, you call that black magic and it's wrong and you're going to hell if you do that. But if you over here eating this blood, eating this body and drinking this blood every first Sunday, you don't consider that black magic. That's where my problem comes in. And black people are falling into that same trap where you are allowing white people to tell you that your history, that what you carry in your cells, that the beliefs of your people are nothing, they're wrong, but you grabbing hold to what white man and that's where I have the problem.
And it goes back to this. It goes back to this one basic thing, and we talked about this. We said it 2 or 3 times, multiple times on this show today, but we said it multiple times on shows in the past. The one principle that is universal, when I have looked at all the different religions, denominations, iterations of all of the things, it's one thing that pretty much they all have. It's this one concept. In the Bible, it says that love your neighbor as you love yourself. So, in other words, you love people, or you have this relationship with other humans as you have this relationship with yourself. There's no separation. So everybody should be treating everybody else how they would want to be treated. The problem is once you start putting in these different structures or these different parameters of how that looks, that's when everything gets thrown off.
No, I realize I don't think that that's where everything gets thrown off. I think where it gets thrown off is when you let them do that.
Yes.
People can tell you anything. They can try to coerce you. They can try to persuade you, try to convert you. They can proselytize. They can evangelize. They can do all of those things. And they have, as humans, you have a right to do those things if that's what you want to do with your body. But what you don't have a right to do is force me to believe it. What you don't have a right to do is make me live it. And that's where we're having the problem. Just because somebody say something is true, don't make it true. And you got to be able to use your brain. We've been talking about rocket scientists, and so we're talking about the man who wanted the black man to be a baseball player because the system of whiteness does not honor black intelligence. The system of white inhumanity will not celebrate black intellectualism. And so now they don't want you to be no rocket scientist. Now they don't want. All they want you to do is dribble a ball. All they want you to do is run with the ball. All they want you to do is run track. And because remember when was it LeBron James who said something about the court and the woman told him to shut up and dribble? Like, no, I'm going to use whatever access I have. If it's on the court, I'm going to use my access to speak truth to whoever needs to hear it. So I don't have a problem with him being a basketball player if he uses his access in that way. And again, we're not doing it, especially as black folks. My godson just sent me a picture. He's 21 years old, and the pictures of him with a Rolex and a BMW. See, that's where our mindset is. And I'm going to say that I believe poverty is the culprit. When you grow up with nothing, you yearn for something, and you're willing to do whatever it takes to get that something. So shame on a world that creates poverty, because poverty is the culprit. And so we got to realize that, hey, there are ways that we can live our abundant life. That does not mean I got to have so much money that you can't eat every day. We got to rethink it, because we are following the pattern that the system of white inhumanity has set. We don't have to. We do not have to. We can make different decisions. Just make up your mind.
And so we got a couple minutes left in the show. And I want to say this, going back to something Lo had talked about with Europe. One of my favorite books that I've read is called A Tale of Two Cities. And it's about the French Revolution. And the first line of the book starts out, it was the best of times. It was
the worst of times.
And so when you create a society where you have the have and the have-nots, where you, like you said, Denise, where you create poverty so that people are striving to have something, and now it becomes this materialistic, capitalistic society, this atmosphere where I got to get mine, I got to get something, and I don't care who I oppress to get it, because nobody cares about how they get it from me. And once that happens, the divide, grows long and long and longer. And it's only when the people of all nationalities, all races, ethnic groups, when they look and say, you know what? It's this structure that has been created that keep us pitted against each other, and none of us can go nowhere. We're striving for something that, since we're talking about the Bible, it's chasing other. It's vanity. It's like chasing the wind. You cannot catch it. You can't what you really got. Any last words?
And you ain't gonna get it, because I keep hearing people talking about, I'm trying to live the American dream. If you is black, if you are non-white, the dream don't belong to you. And that's one of the reasons you are so frustrated, because of what Toney just said. You chasing after something that you cannot achieve because it was not designed for you. And so any measure of it that you think looks like the dream is you acting just like the system of white inhumanity. It's you acting just like the system of whiteness. You are you are complicit. And you need to realize that and ask yourself, is this really how I want to be? Because you can change.
Yes. So enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. If you can, make sure you get over to Pyramid Custom Framing and Books. Did I get it right?
Art, books, and custom framing.
One day I'm gonna get it all right. I'm gonna get all of it right. So make sure you go there Sunday 2 p.m. For Dr.
3 p.m.
3 p.m. for Dr. Chris Jones. Continue to listen to KABF 88.3 FM, where we are the voice of the people. Thank you. See you later.